Welcome, everybody, to the Farming Podcast brought to you by Private Property. My name is Mbali Nwoko, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. I firstly must apologize for starting this podcast late. We've had some technical issues with our guest coming onto the show, especially where audio is concerned. And so, it is a podcast. Audio is quite important. And so what we've done is that we have decided to reschedule her podcast episode, perhaps for next week, Tuesday or Thursday. So for anybody who was really waiting in anticipation to hear from Maphate today, please look out for all our social media pages as to when we'll have her back onto the show. But I'm sure it'll be next week, either Tuesdays or Thursday. And I really hope, crossing fingers, that this time the audio on her side will be much better. So I guess, because we're not having a full-on show, I suppose it's just befitting just to keep, to just say some words of encouragement to all the individuals or everybody at home right now watching the Farming Podcast, and for people who are quite interested to understand what's happening on the ground in the farming community. And I think it's safe to say that it's been tough times for everybody since the week started, or last week actually, with everything that is going on in the country right now, and everybody is just trying to remain positive. Let's not forget that we are still in a global pandemic. We still need to look after ourselves, take care of our health and our friends and our loved ones, most importantly. But because every single agricultural worker, employee, farm owner, business owner, entrepreneur is an essential service, we have to keep the industry going, especially in these tough times, because food is paramount in every individual household. I had a conversation with a farmer today who's based in Limpopo, and he's a friend of mine, long-standing friend of mine, and he's a tomato and baby vegetable producer. And just to share a bit of a story with how he's been impacted with the events going on in the country, is that he's at his peak harvesting season. In Johannesburg, Mpumalanga, and the Highveld areas right now, we're experiencing very, very cold temperatures, whereas in Limpopo it's slightly warmer. But with this cold front, yes, temperatures have dropped. Nonetheless, he's still able to harvest right now. But like I said, he's at his peak harvesting season, and he just shared with me, the difficulties he's having right now with his business of selling produce to his customers. Everybody has closed the doors. He's not getting orders for this week, and it looks like he won't be getting orders next week as well, because everybody's just waiting to see what is going to happen and how the next few days is going to unfold. And that's just a small story of the impact of I suppose disruptions in the supply chain, disruptions in logistics, disruptions in the food security space as well. And unfortunately, he's also had to lay off about 15 workers and tell them to, just stay at home during this time. And these are day-to-day laborers that he pays, who come and harvest every single day, and all these individuals are expecting some form of income. And I was asking him, and I said, okay, but a lot of the disruption was happening in the Gauteng and KZN area. How is life like in Limpopo? Because I thought there's so many other manufacturing plants in that region. There's other fresh produce markets. So I thought that business can continue as normal, and he said no. A lot of the food process systems within Limpopo region have also been affected. So it's clear to show that the whole country is in dire distress, especially where food security is concerned. And if you look at the fresh produce markets as well, prices have dropped immensely because there is so much produce on the market floor and it's not moving. That is just so heartbreaking to hear, because, as farmers, we expect an income during this time. And there's so many other businesses along the value chain that expect income. So much so, not only from a farmer to the logistics individuals, to the retail chain stores, but also to the informal to the informal traders, that trade in our township communities. I mean, they're a huge contributor to the fresh produce industry. They invest. Pretty much they're literally a huge contributor, especially where fresh produce is concerned, because they make a bulk of the revenue that is traded along fresh produce market lines. And so it's really, really heartbreaking to see the situation on the ground. And I'm just trying to keep positive throughout this time. As a Johannesburg farmer, I'm not producing right now because it's extremely too cold for me to start producing, but I'm actually prepping my farm for the summer season. And it's just so sad to hear my fellow colleagues on the ground just talking about how bad the market prices are. And to tell you, just for those of you who think that, why can't we sell elsewhere? The market, guys, really, really determines the price. It's known in the industry that the market is a place to be where price discovery is concerned. And so if the markets are not trading, it's very, very difficult also to get your foot on the ground in terms of where you sell your product and so forth. But I guess this is also an opportunity for farmers to also seek alternative markets. I mean, even though the fresh produce markets are closed, a number of retailers are probably not buying stock from farmers, those who have contracts as well as processors. I think an opportunity for farmers is to try see if we could start our own online stores, if we could start selling directly to individual households, even though your business strategy might be a business-to-business strategy and not a business-to-consumer. But I think we should explore all alternative methods right now, just so that your business could get some revenue and so that your employees at the end of the day, especially those day-to-day contract workers, could have some form of income at the end of the day. Because, the country is, from an economic standpoint, we are really struggling. There's a lot of high unemployment and a lot of people are living below the breadline and are starving. So I think my message to you as a farmer is that if you're harvesting right now, try find alternative methods to sell your produce. If it means bagging those tomatoes in a box in small plastics and having to go and deliver in each household, or selling those tomatoes through WhatsApp, through Facebook, through whatever social media channels you could get a hold of, I think do that just to earn some income. And when things go back to normal, then, business can continue as usual. But I think we need to take stock as farmers, as entrepreneurs, as people in the industry, how we could come together in times of crisis. And for those farmers who are feeling like they need to discard their fresh produce, perhaps think of those communities right now who do not have access to food. We all know that the shelves in the stores right now are quite empty. And so I think it's important as farmers, instead of discarding those food, perhaps you could give that food waste to a livestock farmer nearby, and also to individual households nearby that desperately need it. Approach church communities, feeding schemes right now as well. Even if you're not making any revenue or generating revenue from your goods or goods harvested or fresh produce harvested, I think it will be just, a kind gesture right now to not see your crops go to waste, but really go to feeding communities who really, really need it right now, especially during the winter season. I think that will be it for me tonight. Like I did say, this podcast this evening is going to be a bit short, simply because we couldn't get our guest onto the show tonight. She did have audio problems, so once again, we apologize from the private property farming community team for not being able to have a full-on show. Yes, we were going to discuss her journey, how she started as an intern, and now she's become a fully fledged farmer employing individuals, and that's a success story on its own. And what we were going to unpack into the show today is not necessarily her broiler production and her business, because we've had quite a number of broiler or poultry farmers throughout the past weeks on the show, but I really wanted to get to know her journey as an intern, because there's so much unemployed agricultural youth sitting at home thinking of ways on how they could start their own businesses, or even applying at farms and agri-businesses for agri-internships. But what happens when that internship ends? What happens when that contract ends? And today's guest was going to share her journey or her story of how she started her business, her broiler production after her contract had ended, and using whatever resources that she had at her disposal to start her business, and obviously seek a market and service a specific clientele. But like I said, we will try to have her next week, Tuesday or Thursday, onto the show. Look out on our social media pages. However, I think we've got so much content on our YouTube channel to keep you warm throughout the Friday and also the weekend. So if you've missed any of our episodes, and if this is your first time watching the podcast today, apologies that we didn't meet expectations, but I trust you. Our YouTube channel has so much in store, as we obviously bring you so many entrepreneurs, farmers, professionals in the industries, sharing their insights, their expertise, their knowledge, their experience, as well as business tips on really how you can make a success in the agri industry. And if you're wishing and hoping on farming, please, we need plenty more farmers, especially from a primary production level. We can never have enough, because we have to feed the nation at the end of the day. Please comment, like, and share once you've watched all our videos or any of our videos on our YouTube channel. Let us know as well which guest you'd like to see. I mean, this podcast is for you. We're here to deliver some agri content that is beneficial for you, that is beneficial for a friend maybe that might be interested in farming, or just thinking of other business opportunities that one can pursue or explore in the agri sector. This is the Farming Podcast. Thank you so much for watching us this evening, and I will see you next week, Tuesday. But please do stay home. Do take care. For any of those that have lost loved ones, our sincere condolences, and let's just remain positive no matter what the situation is. We need to really remain positive, and also just keep doing our best with the little that we have as South Africans. Thank you. Good night. Take care.